It's like you couldn't describe it or explain it, but there was a deep knowing. First thing that happens is this me? Am I making stuff up or is this real? How long does that take to doubt ourselves?
Welcome. This is Leading with Spirit, the show for the spiritual guide who knows there's more. More depth, more truth, more realness in the work you're here to do. Whether you're a healer, coach, or intuitive, this podcast helps you reconnect with your gifts, trust your path, and lead from soul, not stress. Hosted by me, Spirit Bird. I'm a master shaman, best-selling author, and founder of Holton Healing Arts. My intention is that each episode brings grounded insight into spiritual growth, energy mastery, and the real-life journey of walking as a spiritual leader. You can find me at Spirit Bird Official. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to Leading with Spirit. I'm so delighted to introduce you to my guest today. Julie is actually a former coach of mine and friend and a brilliant light. I worked with her, I think, a year ago on some clarity for myself personally and professionally, and she's going to share a little bit about her experience today. But Julie is a retired psychotherapist. She's a business coach, and she recently wrote a book called Divinely Seasoned: Aging with Wisdom, Wonder, and Joy. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Such a
Yeah,
delight
nice
to
to
have
be
you
here.
here, and I'm excited to share you with people.
I'm excited to be, I'm always happy to be in your company.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, we're just wonderful. So let's just dive in. I want to kind of start with the book. Can you tell me a little bit about that and your inspiration for putting that together?
Yes. First of all, I don't and never have considered myself an author. This is my third book,
Mhm.
and I can tell you that. But I get what we would call the divine tap that says, write this down. And so, I mean, I know how to avoid that for some time before I actually do. But what the inspiration with this is when I turned 70, I literally freaked out. I have never been an age person. I went back to school when I was 50 and became a psychotherapist. So it's never been in me,
Mhm.
but all of the beliefs of the world, everything that we have in us, and whether we want it, whether we realize it, and how do we know if something happens? So 70, something opened in me that said, oh my God, what am I supposed to do now? Am I still working? Am I like, what happens? Am I supposed to retire? All of these things. And there was a lot, and I got angry. It's like, I think you made a mistake. Like, I've been through all these experience. I've got all this knowledge, all this wisdom. And what? I'm just going to shrivel up and, and die. It was crazy making. Okay. And I went to work on it and really got to open to understanding that modeling a new way of being in this world and the sacred aging that we do is not, oh my gosh, I'm here, but I get to be here. I get to be here at this time. And that was the inspiration for the book. I wanted to share what was possible, what I saw, what wanted to come through me to inspire and encourage people to never, ever be less, but always more. And I had the wonderful opportunity to actually interview your grandmother as part of the book because I interviewed women that had walked before me because I wanted to find out. Tell me, how are you living so purposely? And they were out in the leading edge, is what I would consider.
Mhm.
So I know that was a long answer, but that really felt inspiring to me. And with any book, I teach through stories and learn myself through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was divinely seasoned, and it was really it was a gift that I felt came from beyond.
Yeah, beautiful. I know a little bit about your history, so you have kind of had to sort of recreate or reinvent yourself a few times in your life. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I probably, let me see, 41 when I realized I was drinking for all and drugging for all the wrong reasons and stopped drinking and drugging and started to recover. So I'm 32 years clean and sober right now. And that was the beginning of my journey. And I thought, well, I just won't drink and I won't do the drugs and everything's going to be great. I didn't know that there was something wrong, you
Mm.
know. And a 12-step program is about doing the steps and starting to heal. And so did that. Started my first business 5 years later, an accounting and bookkeeping business, and it was left brain heaven. Very logical, very logical. Numbers don't lie. Do that. But something started to pull in me. I started to open. I believed there was something greater than myself, but I didn't believe it believed in me.
Mhm.
And so, and I certainly never was able to have a relationship with myself. So left brain heaven and but started to open and I finally started to listen. And at 50 went back to school and became a psychotherapist and opened a full practice and a full center from there for 9 years and taught and worked with all types of clients and learned a lot of energy methods
Mhm.
which I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
And I got that tap. And here's what came. It's time to get off the couch. And it was my first, both businesses were very successful. I didn't have to advertise.
Mhm.
And I didn't get that as good news.
Yeah.
And so I, for the next 2 years, changed the types of clients I had, changed this, changed that, hoping I could avoid leaving. But it became so strong that it's like I closed everything down and started working with entrepreneurs. The reason I did is what I knew is everything starts within. And until we can start to have a relationship with ourselves, see ourselves, value it, own it, love it, to come out into the world is going to be very challenging. Whether you want a relationship, a career, whatever it is you want. But as an entrepreneur, who I consider to be some really strong leaders in our world, um, they more than anyone would be ready for this. So being able to put the strategic plans together, but doing that deeper inner work was so beautiful. And so I started that career.
Mhm.
And then about 5 years ago, my son passed and he died of a heroin overdose. And I can tell you, with all the people I've sponsored, I've worked with, all the speaking that I've done in the 12-step program and in the world, I couldn't help my son. And it was a devastating loss,
Mhm.
devastating. And partly because he desperately wanted to get clean, but fentanyl and heroin, it, like, as he would say to me, Mom, my bones ache. Like, it was really, really hard. And
Mhm.
he had just finished a 60-day rehab program and so there was a lot around it, and I found him. And that's trauma as well. So
Yeah.
I started working on myself. Within 3 months, I knew I was going to have to work on me and get to that point of either get busy living or get busy dying.
Mhm.
And that's where my second book came from, The True Quest, which was finding spiritual gifts through grief. Because here was the thing, Spirit Bird. I desperately wanted to know he was okay. Like every belief I had was challenged. Did I really believe we go on? Did I really believe there's something greater? Every belief I had was challenged. It's easy to talk about it when you're not facing it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see him there because when I thought of him on planet Earth, there was so much pain for him. It was heartbreaking. And the more I yearned for being able to touch and see and feel, the more I didn't realize, but I was opening and opening my spirit to receive more. And it was probably about 6 months in, and he came through. And
Mm.
it was like, I think I'd been listening to a podcast around channeling and how do we reach the other side, and walked in my house, saw a picture of him, had the familiar thought, I wish this could have been different. And he came through and he said, Mom, I knew you were strong enough to have this experience with me.
Mm.
And I knew you would be more because of it. And you would take it into your work and it would influence what you're doing now. And Spirit Bird, I thought, okay, that's enough.
Mm.
And so I have endeavored to do that. But the gift that came through that was I started channeling. Spirits would come. I'd be working with the client, and there'd be someone sitting beside me, smoking a cigarette, listening. It was like, okay.
Mhm.
So those events, and then I was just finishing Divinely Seasoned, and 5 months ago, and my husband went out for a bike ride one morning, and a deer jumped in front of him, and he fell off his bike and broke his neck.
Mhm.
And so now he's great today, but yeah, so life doesn't stop happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you, so, oh my goodness, so many questions. I think I want to start with, you said you started channeling. That's a pretty profound message, to get directly from somebody and pretty charged
Oh,
too, because obviously there's a lot of layers to it. It's the gift of that clarity and also the, like, probably still some frustration. At least for me, I'm like, well, I didn't want it to be like this.
oh, right. Like seriously. It's interesting. I'll just say from when he was young, he told me he would, excuse me, never live past 27.
Mm.
It drove me crazy that
Hmm.
he would say that. He'd get in his teens and he'd say, Mom, I'm just saying, I don't think I'm supposed to be here past that age. When he turned 28, I can only tell you the sigh of relief. But what happened when he turned 27 is he had his first child.
Mm.
And he said to me years later, that kept him alive.
Mm.
And there was just something in his spirit that said, this is a short journey. You're here for a reason and a season. And mhm,
Mhm.
yeah.
There's a lot in there. It made me think of I like to do dream work with people, and years
Mm.
ago I love how messages and information tends to show up. I was just listening to, I don't know, just a radio show. It wasn't anything specific, but they happened to interview a man that his story was like he had the same dream that he was going to die at 49 or something like that. And he'd had that for years. And it was really frightening because he also would have other dreams that would literally come true. So we would have a regular experience of these
Oh,
very
wow.
literal prophetic dreams. And then for his whole life, he was getting you're going to pass at this age. And what was so interesting is that he ended up living past it. But at one point he had a family with a young kid. And they finally decided as that time was approaching, instead of being afraid that that might happen, they were going to live like it was going to happen.
Oh,
And so I love the
interesting.
way the gifts work because from my point of view, that sounds like, it's just never that like black and white and literal. And maybe
Exactly.
them realizing they needed to change the way they lived is what caused that to happen. And then shortly after
Exactly.
that, I had two other conversations with other people, some clients, some, just people I knew, where they had a child that had a dream like that. And so as a parent, they were frightened. And then it was like, oh, actually, I get to share this story with you that I heard on the radio about a man that had a similar fear, and this is how they worked with it.
Right. Right. Well, we just don't know, do we?
Yeah.
It's like these things are coming through and we get messages and we're shown things, and it's um if we don't have that deeper relationship with ourself and spirit, or to whatever source field, God, the universe. It can be scary.
Mhm.
I personally find it exhilarating. And I absolutely love that story. That to me is profound.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter because we know how powerful we are. We're powerful manifestors. And so to have people be able to embrace that and say, okay, let's live fully.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah, love it.
Hey, quick pause. If you've been feeling interested in your spiritual gifts or confused by them, or maybe you're actually really intuitive and you're just looking for what to do next, I made something for you. It's called A Course in Spiritual Gifts and Soul Healing, and it's basically the guide that I wish I had when all of this stuff was coming in. Everything from the context of what's actually happening in my life and with my gifts to how to really hold my gifts and anchor them in life in a clear and grounded way. We start off with a sacred reset, helping you get connected to yourself again, out of overwhelm and into your gifts right away. We cover things like work-life balance. I go deeply into the energy archetypes so you can deepen your own inner knowing and learn better communication and relational skills in a really magical way so you have deep, beautiful relationships. And then, of course, we go deep into the soul gift process where you do a healing journey alongside of opening your spiritual gifts and learning how to use them every day and for the rest of your life. It's a beautiful course. And my favorite part about it is you can do all of this without having to be perfect or having to constantly be more spiritual. So if that's something that your soul's been nudging you towards, you can find out more information at holtonhealingarts.com/the course. Now back to the show. For you and your experience of your gifts, what was that like for you? Was it like a slow process of you kind of waking up to them? Did you fight them? Did you think you were crazy or were you just in it?
Nope, I was in my 20s and I was goofing around with a girlfriend one day and I had this thought, when we get those little thoughts to um, take her hands. It's like, oh, we were just fooling around. Wouldn't it be cool to be psychic and this and that? But it's like, I had this urge to take her hands. And she goes, yeah, do me, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I took her hands and it felt like I dropped into her energy field as an observer. And I saw a woman who was in deep, deep despair. Now, this was a very close friend of mine. We shared everything. And I let go of her hands and I looked at her, and all I said was, why didn't you ever tell me? And she completely broke down
Mm.
and wept. And it's like I could feel what she felt. And so I was telling this other girl about this, and she's like, oh my gosh, oh, do me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I drop in. And I saw that there had been a child. And it's like, oh my gosh, what happened? And I came out and I said, did you have an abortion? And she was furious.
Mhm.
Who told you? How dare you? And it's like, no one told me. And I didn't do that or anything for 40 years
Mm. Mm.
because I didn't understand it. I didn't know what that gift meant. I didn't know what to do with it. I don't think I was ready.
Yeah.
And it was 40 years later. And here's what the defining moment was. I told someone that story and they said, they believed me. They said, oh, that's really cool. Well, I'm
Mm.
going to be doing a retreat. Come because we're going to be practicing all that. And it's like, oh, I think your gift is amazing. And it's like, I had someone believe in me.
Yeah.
And so I practiced. It's like, I'm going to take someone's hands. And I had a very vivid experience for this woman. And ever since then, it's part of the work I do. When I work with clients, I do what I call a sacred alignment, where we have a session and whatever wants to come through. Like before we got started, I had a very vivid, may I share this?
Sure. Yeah.
a very vivid picture of you riding a dragon. And it's like, who shows it to me? I don't know, but I know there's dragon energy present and it's very meaningful. And so things like that happen.
Yeah.
But it took time and confidence because there's always that fear of, well, what if I get on with the client? I'm going to do a session and nothing comes through.
Mm-hmm.
But to come to that place of understanding that, then that's what's meant to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a reason for that too. And just continuing to have confidence. I mean, what about you? What happened when you started tuning in and getting things?
Yeah, initially, it started when I was pretty young, so it was quite overwhelming. I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't even know how to talk about what was happening.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that, and I'm pretty open about that. It had led to, basically a mental health crisis, just because there wasn't any language or understanding of what was going on, how to talk about it, how to work with it. But if I'm being honest, I've always loved that part of me. I mean, I remember my first ceremony that I had in my bedroom when I was like 8, and I just,
Oh my
took these little
gosh.
stones and made this little candle and had played some music. And I remember
Wow.
feeling like, oh, I can actually like physically feel like that magic in my body. I can just feel it. So, but it still took time, it took time for me to understand how to work with it. I did a lot of training because I loved it. Like similar to you, it's like, oh, when I found a fit of a group of people that talked about it like it was normal and practiced it, that really helped me a lot, both learning
Yeah.
how to work with it and just not having to feel weird about it. I can't say that that was part of my history, that I felt like I was shame of it or anything like that, but I got to experience that. And one of my favorite ways to work on growing your gifts is when something drops in, just say it, speak it, try it, call that person who popped into your
Yes.
head, tell
Yes.
tell the story, say the vision, say what you saw, and
Yes.
not with like a need for validation, not because you need to give that person information or prove something to them or make sure it's true, but just
Right.
because it's there.
It's there. And I think with these gifts comes responsibility.
Mhm.
And, they say with great gifts come great responsibility. And I don't mean that in a very pragmatic way, but more, where am I being drawn? What am I to do with this information and how would I share it? But what I love about your story and your gifts is you also came with a deeper knowing, like that old soul kind of energy of accepting. And even at 8, it's like you couldn't describe it or explain it, but there was a deep knowing to have a ceremony in your bedroom at that age.
Mhm.
Amazing. That's amazing. I mean, for an 8-year-old, oh my gosh. So you got that with it.
Yeah.
And I think I just didn't have anything come with it.
Mm.
But I like what you're saying. Share it, say it, what wants to come without having to explain it, have people understand it, and get validation
Yeah.
from outside. I can tell you just quickly, when COVID was on,
Mhm.
my mom was in a retirement home and we had to have COVID test every week in order to be able to go and care for her. And so we'd go and line up and do this. And I had been working on that exactly. Don't question anything. When it comes through, it's okay to share it. And so I get up to my turn in line because you have to check in with the nurse before you get to go back to the doctor. And, there's 15 people behind me. And this young nurse, she's taking my information and she goes, do I know you? Now, this happens to me a lot, but I thought, oh boy, no, I don't think we've ever met. Oh, okay. She looked up, she goes, I feel like I know you. Now, that's usually the way in. When I get that, and I said, no, and inside it's like, Julie, you promised yourself. She asked me one more time, and I said to her, I think what it is sometimes one soul recognizes another, and we see each other in a deep way that others don't really experience. And she burst out crying. And so she's standing there crying, and there's all these people behind us. But just there was nothing for me to do. And I think this is really important. I stood and I imagined the energy field opening and surrounding her, and just simply stood there with as much light and love as I could for her. And she stopped crying and she said, "It's the first time I felt seen in so long." And it turns out, she goes, so we carry on. She goes, "And this is your address." We were living at my son's home, getting it ready to sell. I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I grew up in the house right next door."
No way. Sheesh.
Okay, right? And I'm like, "Seriously?" She goes, we grew up there." So I'm just saying that the responsibility doesn't have to be anything other than, can I just be love in this moment? Can I just be light for you in this moment? And it's enough.
Mhm. Yeah. I want to jump back a touch too, because what's really stood out for me, Julie, when you were sharing your initial experience with your two friends, and of course, this is not a judgment on your friend at all, but she got upset with you sharing that, and you said, that you weren't ready. And what I'm also aware of, and I'm sure you are too, is that she wasn't ready. She had asked for something from you that she actually wasn't ready to receive. And obviously, you both got a teaching of some kind, but how long you might have carried that it was about you when actually it wasn't at all.
Yes. I mean, she settled down after a while and started to understand. Um, but not knowing what to do with that. Like, it'd be like me suddenly giving you information and uh, you not knowing, like, what does that mean? Like, uh, you're going to, meet your soulmate, something, or there's something up around your grandmother, and you wanting
Mm-hmm.
more from me, and me having nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so afraid to say, like, I'm only given so much. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. And so wanting it to be more,
Yeah.
and then feeling like there should have been more. I should have been able to say something more, but that wasn't my gift.
Yeah. Got it.
That wasn't my gift at the time.
Mhm. I'd also love to hear you shared a little bit about the kind of big turning points in your life where whether you heard the tap and responded or were kind of pressured into making a change in your life. What has that been like for you? What were you going through at the time? Was that challenging to make those decisions, or did you also just learn, just trust it and go?
Oh no. Do you know anyone that trusts it and goes? It's like, what, first of all, do I believe it?
Mm,
It's like, you get that tap, like there's something more for you. I've created this successful business, and now I'm getting all these feelings that I'm supposed to be doing something different. And all the beliefs of you're not good enough, you don't know enough. Like, I mean, ultimately, what's going to happen is you're going to come face to face with yourself and what you believe about yourself.
mhm,
And so tiptoeing into going back to school and all of that, my family thought I was crazy. "Mom, you've created the successful business." I mean, I was carrying a briefcase and doing financial statements out in the west coast of Canada going to school because I had to keep working,
mhm.
right? And so it wasn't always good news of, you know, time to do this and time to do that. It's become easier
Mhm.
to trust that. But the first thing that happens is this me? Am I making stuff up or is this real? And how long does that take to doubt ourselves,
Mm.
to go get on stages and speak? It's like, is that my ego? Or do I need something more validation? But to question it all.
Yeah.
So I've come to feel easier with it, to trust it more, but I still have to discern the root. Where is it coming from? Is this the divine tap or is this me? But a question for you within that, every idea that drops, every new thought or idea that drops that you have not had before, where does it come from?
Mhm. I feel like it's a combination of things, I guess. I think it's, like I see it as this like bubble that's almost in the center of everything. And it's like collective timing and it's opportunities and it's a kind of this like moving, living thing of what's happening for the collective and what's happening for me and what I am suddenly desiring. And that's how I experience it.
Right. And when you're not thinking of anything, like time to get off the couch,
Mhm.
like it's not in your energy field at all of, okay, what's next? Like, I'm wondering if there's a new path for me or whatever, but nothing.
Right.
It's where does that come from? Every thought. Intuition is this conversation. Let me just say, imagine 20 years ago when I was getting divinely tapped, nobody was talking about this stuff. It wasn't in the, or 30 years ago, it wasn't in the collective.
Mhm.
It wasn't, I could probably stop someone on the street and suddenly have a conversation about energy and they would have a clue as to what I was talking about.
Mhm.
And so this was really out in the leading edge of what was happening. I mean, psychics were like, they were the naysayers of, oh, but they were always like these woo-woo things that you couldn't quite touch. And it's like, not anymore.
Yeah.
We're all psychic. And so, yeah, just like it was so different back then. Today, I could call you up and say, I feel like I'm getting this divine tap to do something. And we could talk through it on such a spiritual level. And we could hold space for all of that.
Mhm.
But years ago, no.
Yeah.
And so we talk about intuition today and how important it is. Like this is the way I see the world right now. We've hit, we have hit a ceiling. When COVID happened, the world started to shift. People went in their homes. They started to realize they didn't even like what they did. And like there was a huge shift in our world. There was a lot of fear, but there was a lot of enlightenment too.
Mhm.
People were waking up in many ways. And then we came out of that and we look at the world the way it is, and some of the decisions of our leaders that are being made are coming from collective consciousness. And we can't be more than that in terms of some worldly choices.
Mm.
So I think we've hit a ceiling. And in order for us to evolve past this, I believe we continually are given more so that we can evolve.
Mhm.
What we were given 50 years ago was nothing close to what we have access to today. So there's been a continual opening and giving more. So I think we're in one of the most exciting periods right now
Mhm.
to shift out of what's been, to truly shift. And from that, I think we have more access than we have ever had, which is why I think more and more people are talking about channeling and they're getting visions and they're getting dreams and that they've never had before.
Mhm.
And our responsibility is to fall so deeply in love with ourselves and see how worthy we are so that we may receive it and help evolve.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're in a major transition right now, and there's more that wants to come through, but I have a responsibility in it.
Hmm.
And my clients, like I work with individuals and I work with entrepreneurs, they're all doing the same work.
Yeah.
There's a yearning and there's a ready to release and ready to release so that more can come through.
Yeah.
And we're shown what that is, given a little bit of instruction with it,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember what you were referencing earlier, but you said something about, kind of being shown the way that we are and the way that I experienced, oh, it was when you to grab your friend's hands. And the
Hmm.
way I experienced that is it's so simple actually, and that it's literally this like I just get a vision of doing a thing. And it's not like this like grand movie vision that's like holy light and it's like grab your friends. It's just it's so subtle. It's not even like a visual thing. It's so that's not the right word, but it's just like it's almost like I just get this quick blip of like, oh, I want that. I want to do this actually. I see
Hmm.
myself over here moving this way or doing this or saying this thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the work that we're up against is like, oh, actually, it's all of that subtle place of like just removing what's between you seeing, feeling,
Yes.
hearing, desiring this thing, and then, you know, whatever you're filling that block with around that I can't or I won't or I don't know how to say it or what will they think or
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely I agree with you. And again, what it says is what's my work is what needs to be released so I may have more and be shown and all of those things. There's very few people I talk to that aren't open to having more,
mm,
feeling more, seeing more, being more. It requires these deep relationships with ourselves.
yeah.
And I did a webinar a while ago, and what came through when I was prepping for it is we as humans think of us as a lantern. So I'm a lantern. And, there may be dust on the outside and it's just sitting there. But when the soul enters,
Mm,
it lights up. And so we have this beautiful relationship. We're having a very human experience and all the things that go with it. But I think we're having this very mystical soul
mm,
experience. And so I always come back to the lantern and it's like, what needs to be there's a little dark spot over here that I want it to be able to light up. And the people who are really being called, they want to walk down the street and feel their energy go out. Often in the mornings when I walk, I'll have on certain music. Music opens and lifts my spirit so greatly. And at one morning I was walking down the street and I didn't throw my arms out because okay, the people in my neighborhood would have thought I was more nuts than they may think now. But I just wanted to imagine the light coming out and enveloping this neighborhood. And
mhm.
it's like, I don't know, where did that come from?
Yeah.
But how fun. How fun just to, what if it's that simple?
Yeah.
What if it's
Well,
that simple?
if I could, can I, the way I see you in this new chapter, can I share that?
I love it.
I mean, it's pretty
Yes.
similar to what you just said, of course, but
Okay.
whenever I'm seeing you like stepping into this new, chapter in your life, it's like the visual to me is like this kind of like solid but like wispy, like bright light, and it's just like hugging people. It's really what it is. Not making them feel better, anything like that. It's just like there's so much pure love and joy, and it feels like you're just letting that happen. Just letting that
Thank
flow.
you. Thank you. What a gift.
Yeah,
If indeed my spirit is saying, when I was that goes with, I went to a couple of years after my son passed. I had taken a sabbatical. I wasn't working, although certain clients just kept showing up. So it was nice because I did keep working, but not, I wasn't looking for clients.
Mhm.
And I could feel my spirit stirring, like feel like I was getting ready to come back out. And I heard about this retreat in Guatemala from someone that I really trust and know. And I was like, I don't know if I should go. Like I was still really tender and vulnerable, and was I ready? And anyway, I ended up going, and it was a 3 hour car ride and a boat ride and a truck to get to this place. It was crazy. Um, but while I was there, we were able to book times with different practitioners that live in Guatemala. And I'd heard about this massage therapist who um, helped you get in touch with different parts and aspects of yourself. And I learned, I was trained in doing parts work. That was where I started from. And I thought, oh, I'm really curious about this. So I made an appointment and I went to her. And I mean, she gets right up on your back with her knees and everything works on you. She's working away. And she said, is there any part of you that you would like to talk with? And I said, oh, I know exactly who I want to talk with. And she's like, who? And I said, my future self. And she said, okay. And so she was doing her thing, and I just closed my eyes, and suddenly it's like this 85, 90-year-old beautiful woman appears with beautiful white hair and luminous. And she said, I'm you, and I've come forward at this time to help you age. And I'm like, okay. And she said, here's what I want you to know. As you age, people won't care what you remember. They will not care what you know or the experiences you have or having the right questions to ask them. They will want to be in your presence because of the way they feel when they're near you. They will experience more joy and love for themselves when they are in your presence. And that will ultimately be the greatest gift you could ever give. And it's like, oh, and I thought, okay, my mom had dementia. So it's like, oh, am I going to get dementia? Because
Mm.
she had had some strokes and things like that. There was a physical reality to that. But those questions go through our minds. And what if I can't? And it's like the reassurance of, it's like we are always valid and valuable. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Are you paralyzed? Do you
Mhm.
have dementia? Do you have this? Do you have that? It's like, your essence of who you are and the light and the love that you have will always be present.
Mm. Perfect.
Perfect.
Well, that's a perfect spot to land, Julie. Tell me a little bit, so divinely seasoned, tell me a little bit about who might enjoy that.
I think anyone 40 and over, I had different age people read it in manuscript to see what it was like. And I think there's something there for everyone. It's not just if you're old or at a different level. We like to say
Ah,
different
yes.
levels. That's the buzzword today. So I think it's that. I think it's people who are searching for more meaning and wanting to step into more magic and the mystic in their lives and how to do that. The book, every chapter has a soul or sacred prompts at the end of each chapter. There's 3 to 5 questions. So even though I share my story and there's what they're, the point I'm trying to make in it, I invite people to do their own work.
Mm.
And so I have sacred or soul prompts at the end of each chapter, and for them to do their work. And hopefully, people that want hope and encouragement and know that their life is uniquely theirs and really matters. And they aren't insignificant and they are important.
Great, great.
Yeah.
You also just came out with a 5-day experience. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I thought of doing a Christmas gift for everybody, but I decided to do a 5-day, 5 days of soul light. So it was like, let's light up 2026. And so it's really listening for what wants to emerge and awakening more of your gifts. And so there are, I'm writing things, and then there are prompts and journaling that you're asked to do. So it'll drop every day for 5 days, basically. And that's one of the gifts. Now, that happened in January, but if people want to sign up on my website, like I have a 30-day journal with every day there's prompts. I'm about people doing their own work, if you haven't
Sure.
noticed. But it would be available to people, so I think it'll
Perfect.
be fun.
Perfect. And I'll, of course, leave that info in the show notes, but your
Thank
website
you.
is thetruequest.com,
Truequest.com.
which I love. I love the names that you
Thank
come
you.
up with too.
Well,
They drop in.
they drop in.
Julie, is there anything that feels like something you really want to share right now that we didn't get to, or does it feel complete for you today?
I feel really complete. There's been so much light and energy exchange here with us. I hope people who take the time to listen or feel drawn to it can feel that light that's been here because it's been pretty profound. We
Yeah.
have a lot of spirits sitting around. They do this in my office. It's like, oh yeah, this is good. But I don't. I feel complete. It's been so lovely speaking with you. I have so much admiration for what you do
Oh,
and
thank
how
you.
you step out and be who you are and help people. You're amazing.
Thanks, Julie. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I'll accept that.
Okay.
Received.
Received.
Yeah.
Good.
And of course, if you've been listening, you're part of the light from this conversation here today. So make sure you give yourself a little tap and a hug too. Julie, thanks so much for being here. Again, I'll share your info in the show notes so people can reach out to you or follow you or get your book. And I so
Yeah.
appreciate what you're doing in the world as well. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
along for the ride.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Uh-huh. And thanks again. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed the show, would you subscribe and leave us a review? Let us know you did at Spirit Bird Official. We love to support our listeners. And if you enjoyed the show, please share it with someone else who would also enjoy it. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.